Om Smriti-Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakratau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Nama Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Kataksha Kirana Chanta
Kataksha Kirana Chanta
Naman Mohabdhaye Namaha.
Naman Mohabdaye Namaha.
Should read this first line full. It is a single compound. Kataksha Kirana Chanta Naman Mohabdhaye Namaha. I spoke it earlier because we were getting familiar with it. Now we can do it correctly. Kataksha Kirana Chanta Naman Mohabdhaye Namaha.
Naman Mohabdaye Namaha.
Anantananda Krishnaya
Anantananda Krishnaya Jagan
Mangalamurthaye.
Mangalamurtaye.
Now start with the fifth verse of Viramava.
Yes, Swami.
Verse 4 was where he traced the three causes which are possible for destruction of anything. Is that correct? And he said none of the three will work in case of Atma. So really Atma is indestructible. Atma is not subject to any destruction. Destruction typically means time-bound. Because all destruction starts with a point in time, end with a point in time. Nor is it bound by space, nor is it bound by any vastu limitation. All that he will discuss, I'm sure, in the future coming verses. I think the fifth verse, Rosha, Plosha, etc., he is addressing the second of the three causes. And that is Anya Vinashaha. Is it possible that something else will destroy it? On the face of it, it's a wrong assumption. Because it is Ekameva Advitya Brahman. How are you going to say something else will destroy it? But he goes into some kind of detail, breaks it down, saying what can destroy something, what are those elements, how can they destroy, and what is it that you can show that they cannot destroy Atma. Yes, Dimash?
But Swamiji, haven't we discussed that because something else has to objectify Atman and
Correct.
it can't
Be there,
discussed
but
it.
now he'll go into some detail. On broad basis, he said that since there is nothing else to objectify Atma, it cannot be destroyed. Now he'll go into detail saying, what do you mean by destroy? What does something else mean? We will read that. And he will go into the details of that. So who will read today? Yes, Ashokji.
Namaskara.
Namaskara.
Verse 5. Now the author elaborates the second paksha of the preceding verse. Atmanaha nashaha na anyataha. So, didiya paksha prabhanjanam. Because of another thing, anyataha, I am not subjected to nasha. No destructive hetu can reach me. Time is considered a hetu for destruction. Time itself does not destroy. In time, things takes place. aging, etc. is due to cosmic radiation. Cosmic radiation quietly makes you age. Therefore, this cosmic radiation in time does the job. There are so many inbuilt things in the scheme of things which are destructive, which being about all the changes. Time itself directly cannot do anything. In time, things takes place due to various varieties of causes. What are these causes of destruction? He presents a Panchamahabhutas, the five basic elements. We go for the elements themselves, not ordinary bullets, etc. But the Mahabhutas, like Vayu. Vayu is a great destroyer. We have seen that it can uproot everything. Vayu, in the form of hot air, can also dehydrate a person and make him die. And then Agni, fire can destroy. Abaha can drown the fellow. In water, a person can decay completely, drown and decay. Then earth. Earth means all the weapons born of various metals, etc. So, all these can destroy. Now, the other negates the capacity of these to bring about the Nasha of Atma.
In
Now, the verse 5.
Upanishads, we have a story of the Yaksha. I don't know if you've read that. The Asuras and Devas had a war as they usually do, and the Asuras won, and they were celebrating the victory. And an ethereal form appeared, and Indra told Vayu and Agni to go and find out who this is. So Vayu went and Agni went, and they asked him, who are you? And he said, who are you? Agni said, I'm Agni. I can burn anything. Nothing is not subject to my being burned by me. Very proudly, Agni said this. So he gave it one dried piece of grass and said, burn this. Agni tried and tried and tried and tried, couldn't burn that. Accepted defeat. Vayu said, I can dry anything. And he said, okay, here is small wet, this thing, try it. Vayu tried and tried and tried, nothing happened. So they accepted defeat and went back. Similarly, Varuna came and he said, I can wet anything. He said, no, you can't. They all went back to Indra and reported that I don't know who this is, but he's taken away all our powers. And then when Indra realized that this is not an ordinary being, recognizes as Uma. Uma is this thing was Shastra. Shastra is also synonym for Jnana, Moksha. And same as Atma. So there also the story highlights the fact that none of these can touch Atma. None of them can function without the
Awareness.
Chaitanya. So here also, in a similar vein, he's talking about the fact that the Pancha Mahabhutas can't do anything. Remember that verse in the second chapter in the Gita? I think you remember, right? It was 18 or 17 or 19 or something like that.
24, 25. Achyutoyam, that one,
Yeah.
no? 24 and 25.
That Atma cannot be burnt by fire, cannot be wet by water. All of that comes like being Sarvagatam, being Nityam. Same idea is brought up here in this verse. Yeah, continue reading. Author negates the capacity of these to bring about Nasha of Atma. Atma cannot be destroyed.
I'll start. The verse 5. Nashosha plosha vikleda cheda chinnabaso mama satyerapya anilagramya anila agni ambaha. Okay. Shastraihi kimuda kalpidaihi. Chinnabasaha.
Second line is even more interesting than the first line. Na shoshaha, na ploshaha, na vikledaha, na chedaha, being chinna, annabhasaha, nabasaha, chit nabasaha, chinnabasaha, chit nabasaha, being the conscious space of consciousness, if you want, space like consciousness. You cannot destroy it. It doesn't, none of these will work with that. But secondly, even more interesting. Satyaihi api anilaha agnihi ambaha shastraihi, even if they were satyam, they were all mithya, you know that. Because everything down from Maya is all mithya, non-self-existing. They are like our gold ornaments to gold. How can the gold ornament set up one day and say, I'm going to destroy you, hey gold? It gets up to destroy the gold, gold will also go with it. So none of these, being mithya, can destroy satyam. But here he says, even if they were satyam, satyaihi api, they cannot destroy. Why? Because it's partless. What can be destroyed is only which has parts. It is partless. So you cannot, none of these can destroy that. Also, even if you assume for a moment, although it's not true, in a hypothetical fashion, that they belong to the same order of reality, even then they can't do it. How do you say that, Swami? Even among the 5 elements, Mahabhutas, there is one which shows some characteristics, the subtlest one of the 5, Akasha. Akasha is 1. And none of the 4, although they are the same order of reality, can destroy Akasha. Cannot cut Akasha, cannot wet Akasha, cannot burn Akasha. Nothing can be done. So even there you can't do it. How do you expect these being mithya to destroy Satyam? Second, that's why it's interesting. Satyahi api analaha abaha ambaha shastraihi kimutaka. Even if they are Satyam, they can't. Kimuta kalpitaihi. Nothing can destroy it. Yeah.
Chinnabasaha chidagashasya mama budaihi nashaha nasti. For me, the Atma, there is no destruction due to elements. For what kind of me? For me, the Atma, who is Chit, pure Chaitanya, Sarvagadaha, and Niravayavaha, free from limbs, free from any kind of form, and therefore the formless, limbless Chit. Chinnabasaha means Chidagasya Mama Atmanaha. For me, who is in the form of Chidagasa, the space of awareness.
Chidakasha.
Chidakasha. Chidakasha. So for me, who is in the form of Chitakasha, the space of awareness, the awareness likened to space, meaning which is like space. For me, there is na shoshaha, drying up, by whom? Vayuna na shoshaha. Shoshaha is drying up, dehydration. Then afterwards, napi agnina ploshaha. So plosha is dahaha. There is no burning of Atma. First he makes a statement, the hedu he gives later. For me there is no plosha, no daha, no burning due to Agni.
Daha is the dhatu for burning. Dahati, dahataha, dahanti. Okay. So dahaha is that which is burning. So in Tamil we say,
Okay.
when you want water, when you're very thirsty,
Dahanam.
we say daha.
Dahamarga.
Comes from the same source.
No burning due to Agni. Agnina na dahaha. Then again, jalena ambasa. By water, mama vikledaha na asti. Kleda is getting wet. Then drowning and dissolution. Final dissolution, TK, like a crop, etc., gets destroyed by water. Unlike that, for me, na ambasa vikledaha.
Ambasa. By water.
Ambasa.
By water.
Na ambasa. By water. Then Shastrena avi. Shastra stands for.
Shastrena api.
Shastrena, sorry. Oh, this is a problem. English.
There's a very big difference between Shastra and Shastra. Okay.
Okay. Shastrena api. Shastra stands for Prithvi. Shastrena api. Ayudena api. Mama na chedaha. Cheda is Dvaidi Bhava. Being cut, being destroyed by a weapon. Na shosha, plosha, vikleda, chedaha. Chinnabaso, mama. Anila, Agni, ambas, shastraihi bhavanti. Shastraihi bhavanti. Kramena, respectively.
Very
Therefore,
interesting. Anila, Agni, singular plural also is taken care of here. Ambasa, Anila, etc. But Shastraihi, by any weapon, because all weapons are Prithvi. So Shastraihi, Tritiya Bhavachanam.
Therefore, Shosha, Plosha, Vikleda, Cheda are not there for Atma. See? Why do you say Chinnabasaha? He says, Satyaihi api bhutaihi na basaha asaha agashasya na nashaha nasti. Agashaha is an element and Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi all belong to the same class of elements. Bhudani eva sarvani. All of them are elements. They are all Satya. Satya here means empirically true, belonging to the same class of reality. Therefore, Satya api Anila, Agni, Ambas, Shastraihi. Shastra stands for Prithvi. Shastrai api Taiha. Agashasya na Chedaha. Agashasya na Nashaha. If they try to burn the Agasha or dry the Agasha by air or drown the Agasha or destroy the Agasha by weapons which belong to the same order of reality, there is no destruction of Agasha. Agashasya na Nashaha. Satyaihi abhi Agashasya na Nashaha. Satyaihi means Vyavahariga Satyah. Satyaihi. Now tell me.
By Satyaihi.
By Satyaihi.
By Satya is Satyaihi.
Kimuta kalpayadaha. Chinnabasah chid nabasha.
Nabas is Akasha. So chit, the space of consciousness or space like consciousness. Hmm.
Chit agashasya mama nashaha. So, satyaihi abhi bhutaihi, by these four other elements belonging to the same order of reality, the destruction of Agasha is not possible. Then what to talk about destruction of Chinnabasa being brought about by causes belonging to a different order of reality? When Atma is being talked about, all these five elements, Agasha, Vayu, Agni, Abaha, Prithvi, are Kalpaida, Mithya. They depend entirely upon the Chidatma for their being. How are they going to destroy Atma? They cannot get up to destroy the Atma. It is something like the pot getting up to destroy the clay, saying, I am going to get you. When the pot gets up, clay also gets up. The pot cannot pull itself out from the clay to destroy the clay. So, kalpidaihi mithya bhutaihi. Mithya bhutaihi. By all these mithya elements, how can the Atma be destroyed? It cannot be destroyed because Atmanaha anyad vastu is not there. Another
In the same
vastu
order of
not
reality. Not there in the same order of reality. There is one order of reality only, and that is Satyam, that is Atma. Hmm.
So another
Yeah.
vastu not being there, Atma cannot be destroyed by another vastu. The elements are only Namarupa. It is all surface etching, Namarupa etching. They are essentially vastu. Therefore, any Namarupa is not going to destroy the vastu. This is also said in the Gita. I think I need to take the Gita book to read because otherwise I'll go mistake in reading this English. Or somebody else can read.
अच्छेद्योऽयमदाह्योऽयम् क्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च नित्यसर्वगतस्थाणुः अचलोऽयं सनातनः अव्यक्तोऽयमचिन्त्योऽयम् अविकार्योऽयमुच्यते
Therefore, Atma is Avinashi.
अविनाशी
Avinashi.
To do a quick
Avinashi.
summary before we go to Divyansh, who has a question.
Yes,
So
Swami.
basically, I think Divyansh.
You go ahead, you do a
You want
summary. You go ahead and do a summary.
Yeah. So this is basically the verse 5 talking about the second paksha of the earlier verse. So predominantly, this is basically talking about anyata nashaha, concept of anyata nashaha. So it says all the five elements are the reality. If they cannot even wet or drown or all those things, so even it cannot be cut. It cannot cut even the akasha, which is a reality. Then how they can cut the atma in the same, which is not in the same order of
Akasha,
reality.
which is the reality meaning, which is the same order of reality as the other four.
As other
All
four.
of Vyavaharika, Satyam.
Yes. So another example finally it gives is about the same pot if it wants to kill the clay. So there cannot be, you cannot stand up and say I'll kill the clay because clay is part of the pot. So that is the way it is getting
Clay is
concluded.
not part of the pot.
Yeah.
Pot is the clay.
Clay is a
Because you can't remove the clay from the pot and say, where's the pot
clay.
then? So clay is pot.
So
That is what we're trying to establish. That everything in this Jagat, known, unknown, tangible, intangible, near, far, whatever you take, known, unknown, they're all nothing but Atma. Good. Yes, Divyansh.
I noticed that Swamiji, you said that when this line came, what is that? Atmanah Anyat Vastu is not there. You said that in that order of reality. I assume you
Correct.
said
Correct.
what is that?
Correct.
Paramarthika order of reality, right?
Right.
But we should say I think it's not needed to add that thing because in all of the order of reality, there is nothing apart from Atma, right? In Vyavaharika
Absolutely correct.
also, that is Atma only.
Absolutely correct. What is the definition of mithya? The definition of mithya is
Dependent
that
reality.
it cannot be
Dependent reality.
categorically classified either as satyam or as mithya. You can't dismiss as dismissible. The Jagat is not dismissed. Jagat is still accepted as existence, but borrowing the existence from Satyam. Oh, sure, you can, your statement is correct. There's nothing other than the one Satyam. But since we are sitting in this Jagat, like the person in the dream, and we are seeing and feeling and touching and perceiving everything else in the Jagat, to that level, there is a touch of reality there called Vyavaharika Satyam. We are not throwing it away till our understanding becomes absolutely clear. In all this, you remember that you start, when you start this whole process, we start with, at best, some doubts about these things. Otherwise, we accept I as this contained by the body. We accept the world as real and different from I. That's how we start. Everybody starts like that. And then step by step, we change the thinking with understanding. With final understanding, there is nothing else.
Swamiji, we can also say the I do not exist is self-contradictory because the one who makes the claim must exist to utter it. And Atman cannot be denied since denial itself requires the presence of the self.
Without the self, you can't even talk about it.
Deny that.
Very interesting. Even the next one is going to be very interesting to look at. Here, he has taken 3 little steps, if you want. One, at the level that Divansh is talking about, there is nothing other than the Atma. So what is going to be there? A second Vastu is going to destroy the Atma. Not possible. But for a person who has not yet got that aparoksha jnanam, he can still say that there is only one Satyam and that belongs to the Paramarthika Satyam. Only one Vastu belongs to Paramarthika Satyam. But there are many other things which we can see, touch, perceive, etc., which are Vyavaharika Satyam, which we are relative Satyam, which we don't throw away. There, the argument is all the Vyavaharika Satyam, by definition, depend for their existence on the Paramarthika Satyam. By that definition, no Vyavaharika Satyam can challenge the Paramarthika Satyam and say, I'm going to have a duel with you tomorrow morning. In the first place, you can't separate it. There is no way you can separate these two. Mithya is there, Satyam has to be there. No Mithya can, Swami said nicely, no, clay and pot. Pot cannot get up one day and say, I'm going to destroy you to the clay. Can't do that. So that itself is a second level of, no, that is only a imagination, that one order of reality, another order of reality, etc., etc. Even if you hypothetically assume that the orders of reality are the same, which is wrong, which we will not assume at all at our level, then also we say that it cannot be done because you see, Atma is been shown to be partless, like space. Fortunately, we have this example in the Panchabhutas itself. One of them is partless and is Sarvagatam. And you know that you cannot destroy that by any of the other 4. They all belong to the same order of reality. They all are Vyavaharika Satyam. Therefore, even if they are Satyam, the second line, that's why I like this. Satyairapi anilagnabhyamba shastraihi, they can't. Kimuta kalpitaihi. What if we accept that they are mithya? No way. Therefore, Atma is Nityam. And because Atma is Nityam, And we know that Brahman is Nityam, Atma and Brahman are the same. All these trying to do in this thing is to show the Aikyam, that there is no difference between Atma and Jivatma, Paramatma, between Atma and Brahman. That's all he's trying to show. Swarupa Lakshanam, no. Tatastha Lakshanam, no. Now Nitya Lakshanam, no. In any way you take these, there's Aikyam.
Swamiji, just
Yeah,
one
please.
small observation, Swamiji. Observation plus an extension of this conclusion from this shloka is about the Akasha element. Like it is rightly said here, Akasha is partless, Sarvagataha, and it cannot be destroyed by the other four elements. So some people might get a doubt. So why can't Akasha be the Satyam? Because Akasha also appears to be a substratum for everything that we can think of in the Jagat, right? That appears to be substratum. So the only thing we should then remember is two examples, which is our dream, where space and time is created and destroyed, right? That is one counter argument. And the second one is Sushupti, where space doesn't exist at all. So clearly space is not Satyam, right? So I'm just.
Yeah, good point. That space is not separate from the other four elements. They all belong to the same reality.
Creation. Yeah.
Good. Any other observations? Okay, let's go on to the next verse.
Swamiji, one thing.
Sure.
You mentioned that Aikyam is established, but I think when we are talking about like it can't be destroyed, we are still talking only about Brahman, not Atma. Is it?
That I, if we are trying to establish here, is Atma, Brahman, the same thing.
Yes.
Atma is Brahman, Brahman is I. Ahameva Atma, Ahameva Paramatma, Ahameva Brahman, Tad Brahman Aham. So the I that you are talking about, if you don't take it as a body mind sense complex, which we know that we can destroy that kind of an argument very easily, then the I that you talk about is the same as the Brahman. That's our argument.
Okay. So like when we generally say that first we give the lakshartha of tat, then tvam, then we have the Aikyam part. Here
Correct.
we are only
Then
talking
both
about.
are the same. So the Swarupa of this and Swarupa of that, one by one, is taking and trying to say that they are identical.
Okay.
Should we go to the next verse?
Another doubt, verse number 6, another doubt is raised now. This Pratyak Atma, Kadam Anubhuyate. How is it experienced by me? Pratyak Atma, Parichinnaha, Eva Anubhuyate. It is only experienced as a limited individual. I feel I am in here, inside this body. That is why it is called Pratyak. It is inner Atma and extends itself up to the Deha. Beyond this, it does not go at all. This much alone is the Pratyak Atma. So Aham Iha Asmi. I am here alone. I am not there. To be there, I have to get up and go. Therefore, I am here. I am not there. And if I am there, I am not here. This is my lot. This is me. But you say I am Sarvagadaha, Nityam Vibhum Sarvagadam Sukshmam. But how can I be Sarvagadaha, all pervading? Even if I spread myself, even if I just disintegrate into cells, and then as cells, I float all over, still I cannot be Sarvagadaha. It is not possible. Even if every cell goes to one distinct place, I cannot be Sarvagada. I will provide some space, but I cannot be Sarvagada. Therefore, how can you say I am Sarvagada Atma? Aham being Deshadaha Parichinnaha Sarvagadam is not possible. To address this kind of a doubt, he says, Abharubasya Vishwasya Banam Basan Nider Vina Kadachid Na Avagalpeda Ba Chahum Tena Sarvaga.
Good.
Okay, no?
Abhasarupasya Vishwasya Bhanam Bhasya Sannider Vina. Sannidehe Vina. Kadachit Na Avakalpeta Bha Chaham Tena Sargata. There are some words here which may need some explanation, which I'm sure Swamiji will give as we read.
Vishwasya of the Vishwa.
Vishwasya. Vishwasya of the Vishwa. Vishwa is the name given to the Vyashti Sthula. And in Samashti Sthula becomes Virat. Vyashti is Vishwa.
Vishwasya of the Vishwa. Vishwa means the various objects that we experience. And what is this Vishwa? Vishwa is not Druk, Vishwa is Drishya, which is called Jada in Vyavahara. Really, there is no Jada. Everything is Chaitanya alone, because Chaitanyaha Sarvagadaha. There
Why
is
does it
nothing
feel Jada
outside.
then? Why does it feel Jada while something else feels sentient? Why do some things feel Jada and some things feel sentient?
Because it doesn't have the mind to express the Chaitanya.
Correct. One doesn't have all the components of the Sukshma Sharira. One has only Sthula Sharira, and that Sthula Sharira, we are not able to see the Atma in there, but Atma is the sustainer of that also. Atma is the creator, sustainer, destroyer of that also. But we are not able to see it. The only difference is that we are able to see it in a sentient being simply because the presence of the Sukshma Sharira gives us a indication of the Chaitanyam.
Swamiji, is there any symptoms that is said in Shastra? If something is Chaitan, it should have these characteristics. Is it
Say that again. Say that again.
So, how does Shastra classifies between Chaitan and Jada? So, is there any properties of Chaitana that are we can say if
The
these are
properties
there?
of Jada are it has only Sthula Sharira. That's the only difference. And what is not Jada, what is Chaitana is something which can indicate the presence of Chaitanya. That is all. And that is through the Sukshma Sharira. You know, the Sukshma Sharira has all the components, no? The Jnanendriyas, the Karmendriyas, Manas, Buddhi, memory, and Ahankara. So stone doesn't have Ahankara. Stone doesn't have a Manas, doesn't have a Buddhi, doesn't have any of the, some of these science fiction stories, they even create artificial, plants can have arms and legs. In fact, they do actually. Some of the plants trap the insects. That is also some form of limb only. But anything which is Jada does not have either Jnana Indriya or Karma Indriya. If you have Jnana Indriya and Karma Indriya, you must have Manas and Buddhi, otherwise something has to direct them. The inputs coming from the Jnana Indriya has to be processed by somebody. Therefore, that is the necessity for Manas and Buddhi. And the same Manas and Buddhi has also direct the output to the Karmendriyas. Do this. So all go together. This whole lot go together. And we sense the presence of Chaitanyam because of that. That is all there is.
That exactly was not my exact question. But okay.
Swamiji, I have a question. Oh, Swamiji, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just increasing the volume a little because your volume is low.
Yes, one second.
Yeah.
Like, what we can say about the animals? Animals also, like, they also are aware of themselves, but yet their mind is not developed as humans.
Yes, you're right. When the elements were first formed as Mahabhutas, they were the first ones, if you read Tattvabodha, it will tell you that the first ones to appear were the Sukshma part of the Mahabhutas. So those we can't even sense, we don't know because they are Sukshma. We can't make any sense of them. Then the Sthula part of these come up with the same name. The best example for that is you have oxygen and hydrogen in the gaseous form. But when they combine in a certain proportion, you get a liquid form, which is more tangible. Sthula component of the same name. Through a process called Panchikaranam. Divyansh has some more.
In Puranas, there were stories like which say mountains also could fly. Was that like it was just for illustration, something, or was it reality?
The Puranas have to be accepted for what they are. They are stories to only exemplify what the Shastra says and to make it easy for understanding certain value systems, nothing more than that. We accept Puranas for what they are.
Like it is loosely connected, like now there was a continental drift which happened. So they connect this to that the mountains previously had wings and they could move.
Yeah.
So this is
right. In fact, sometimes I go to these temples, very old temples, no? Then they will tell you some stories there of how the temple was formed or what happened, etc. You know, like for example, even here, there's a temple for Lord Murugan called Anubhavi in Coimbatore. And it is supposed to be the temple where Lord Hanuman was coming back from getting that Sanjeevani. And he had to rest there and he could not find any water. And Lord Murugan came and threw his veil and water sprouted from there. There's still a water body. So they connected to the water body saying that this is what the water body that came from. How much of it is factual? How much of it came down in the form of stories from generation to generation to generation? We are not sure. So these often are certainly based on some kind of a truth, perhaps, but we have grown other elements into like Chinese whispers. You know what Chinese whispers is? You tell one person any line, so others can't hear, and you tell him to tell the other fellow also quietly. That fellow hears this, that fellow gives third fellow, fourth fellow, fifth fellow. By the time the last fellow comes, you ask him what he heard. What you told the first fellow and what the last fellow says may not be the same. So these stories, they're good, and one should perhaps read them, but read them with an understanding that we are reading a Puranic story. Also, remember, we have all these Puranic stories are based on Devatas, some form of Ishvara. And all these forms of Ishvara are Kalpita. I'm using a strong word. But we are already in the state where we can understand Ishvara and these forms are not identical. Although Bhagavad Gita says Yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha. But Shraddha, whichever this thing you pray to, where does it go? Only to Ishvara. Because there is one Ishvara. In fact, there is only Ishvara. And all these Kalpita Devatas, in order to facilitate our interaction with them, our ability to relate to them, we have all kinds of stories, childhood stories, the miracles they created, the wars they fought, and so on. How much of it is based on reality? I don't know. The only text which you cannot question is the Shruti, which is the Veda. Then you have all the others based on this, and therefore if you ever find a difference between what the Shruti says and what something else says, Smriti or Purana or Itihasa says, Shruti is to be accepted. Others are meant for a different purpose. Yes, Divyansh.
Swamiji, like in all of these questions, the Purva Pakshi is asking, like, I am Alpagnya, I am only here, I'm not there, like things like these. So, like to catch hold of Pratyek Atma, can we say that the I am or I is the from Atma, and everything else is Upadhi?
Correct.
So if we like segregate everything, like if we say not you are not here, the body is here. You are not Alpagnya, your mind is Alpagnya. So something like that. And we can like show there only that you are the I am part.
That is right. The very idea of the Purva Pakshi, they don't understand it fully. Sometimes because of that I see those questions, even in some of the Shankara Bhashyam, I find the questions childish. Because the Purva Pakshi you're referring to perhaps, I don't know, he may be looking at things from a completely different perspective. But at a certain level, after you've done a certain level of Shravanam and Mananam, and perhaps some more of Nididhyasanam, these questions don't look all that, but they're still there. People still ask these questions, and they have to be addressed. I mean, somebody assuming that I am this body, mind, sense complex and asking questions based on that, it can be pretty easily dismissed. But that's how the questions come. Okay, we'll have to finish now. We'll continue this sixth verse in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om
Namaskaraha, Dhanyavadaha, Panchalabaha.